leg position's uncomfortable.
Limits, so these are okay.
Yep. Boom.
So
Boom, boom, boom.
Oh, so it doesn't matter what headset I'm using.
Nope.
Cool.
They're all the
So
same.
this will be mine.
All right, and we are doing pre-show in 3, 2, 1. Let's jam. All right, and so we're technically on the air.
Hey, everybody. It's your boys, the 3DMs podcast, or 2DMs podcast.
It's your boy.
It's your man's.
It's your man's. We got Tim today. We actually have somebody in the third chair. It's a shame he's not
Oh
a
my God.
DM.
Yet. I'm in training.
Sure, let's go with that.
It's been a long
Well,
training.
I mean, to be fair, you actually have...
What a long, strange trip it's been.
Yeah.
No, you have actually, Tim, been talking about, you've been wanting to do some stuff. You've had some ideas. Let's see. Boom. Then we're going to hit that. And we're going to post it. Did you do anything exciting last night? Because I think everybody got most of their Halloweening out of the way.
No, I mostly waited for my group to assemble, and they only assembled 3 hours after the start time.
Was it a spooky one?
No, not even a little bit. It was talking about war.
War.
Just a lot of people debating tactics and strategy for 2 hours. Even then, not everyone showed up, so it was mostly me and one other player talking about tactics and strategy.
Hey, man, such is life. All right, so that's all set. That's been shared. What do I got? Oh yeah, let's put that lock mic on.
Probably a good idea.
Let's fire up the encoders, so we don't have another lost episode on our hands. And smoothly and right on time, we can play the damn fight song. Welcome, everybody, to the 3DMs podcast. I am Jake, joined by, as per usual, by one Mr. Paul. And today, sitting in with us, we got my boy Tim. We're going to do a little interview with a casual player at D&D because as a DM, we think of things, like as DMs, you know, you kind of notice that we think about things in a certain way and then wanted to get a different perspective from just
Somebody who thinks about D&D less often than all
you know,
the time.
and just, you know, shows up on Wednesdays. Also, we're going to finish up with some talk on spooky monsters and stuff because, you know, it's still the season. We still got
What is it, 4 days?
4 days until pre-Christmas starts. So
The war on Christmas has already begun.
yeah, no, the war of Christmas aggression is upon us. It's everywhere.
They've overtaken Thanksgiving.
Yep. So
With that out of the way.
Yeah, with that out of the way, and with my mic trying to run away from my face. Wait.
Well, it happens when we tilt all our mics in such odd positions. You got to lean in a bit, Tim.
Got to get in there, Tim. You got to.
Microphone's not that.
You got to
sensitive.
kiss the mic. You got to love the mic.
Boom.
Nailed it.
There we go.
Perfect.
So, let's lead off with our leading topic today, Mr. Timmy.
Yes, sir.
So let's just give a little bit of backstory on how I know Tim. I was a line cook for a very long time. I apparently make okay foods, I've been told.
It's the best.
And
Damn good.
you know, Tim was front of house, a waiter, bastard. And one day we're sitting at work, you know, doing work things, And
doing work.
he just kind of sticks his head into my little sector of the kitchen and goes, "You run D&D, right?" And I was like, "Yeah. You should come over to my house and we should play D&D." Okay. 2 weeks later, I get a text message. "What are you doing tonight?" "Nothing. Come over to my house and play D&D."
I was not interested in playing games about it.
I got
Like,
I got my
D&D
boy, and then
right now.
and then I like start coming over with all my stuff, and I get like another text. My boy's also going to be here and play.
Right.
And then I got there, and then your housemate at the time, Tom, was like, "What the hell y'all doing?"
He didn't even know what D&D
He didn't
was.
even know what the hell
He
it
didn't
was.
even know anything about it. Didn't even know what it stood for.
Yeah, and then he's just like, well, oh, you get to make a character? I'm gonna be a paladin. I'm gonna be a paladin that looks like LeBron James.
I remember this discussion.
Tom, you beautiful little Asian house cat.
Tom was a bit of a project. Like, Tom, don't have an AK-47, okay?
But
Regardless, mind if I ask that we try to keep these things relevant to the topic of the show at hand?
oh yeah, no, we're just I just like roasting Tom whenever I get an opinion or an option to.
Sorry, Tom.
It's out of love. So, Tim,
Hi, Tom.
how did D&D get on your radar in the first place?
So I have been playing fantasy games since I was I've been playing fantasy games since I was a teenager, and around 2007 I started playing WoW.
A classic.
Yeah, I played a lot of Blizzard games, but World of Warcraft mostly.
It's a gateway drug.
Yeah, it is. And a lot of the guys I was in a guild with in World of Warcraft were talking about D&D, and I was like, well, what is that? So I kind of looked at it. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I just kind of put it on the back burner for a while, and then started seeing it. I was like, well, that's pretty cool. So I actually got into kind of doing it a little bit, and then ended up. I said, Jake, you DM? He goes, yeah, I do. Yeah. So I was like, all right, let's run it.
Been
So-
known to make campaign settings.
So if I can ask a brief question, Tim.
Yeah.
As somebody who's perhaps less constantly immersed in role-playing
Sure.
games like I am, do you also share the opinion that Dungeons & Dragons has become larger on the cultural radar in the last couple of years?
Oh yeah, it's pop culture. It's, but I mean, it's okay to be into fantasy games now.
As opposed to something
yeah,
losers in their basement do, like me.
Right, but it's people are cool about it now, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I think it's definitely more on the radar of what's going on right now.
So I mean, and why I'm actually really glad I got you on the show, because so Clint, who also played in that game that we talked about a little bit earlier, kind of came under my learning tree and started DMing. And while you have discussed wanting to DM in the future, and I've told you, hey man, do it. It's a nice little creative outlet. You still haven't quite gotten on that page yet, but with you actually do have a lot of very chartable things that are first for a character and stuff, and I just want to hear how it affects your week to week and stuff. So let's rip the big Band-Aid off right away. In that campaign we ran, you were the only person who died.
I was.
Did you die like 3 times or something? I forget.
No, that's
it was
Andrew.
just,
Right.
Look, to be fair, I made my own grave there, but yeah.
I do recall taking you out to drinks because I felt bad. I also remember trying to burn your character sheet and having you jump on my back like a spider monkey.
He goes, I'm sitting there trying to heal my wounds, and Jake goes, let me see your character sheet real quick. I thought you were just gonna,
Look at it or
file
something.
it or scan it. I don't know. put it amongst your other ones. Grabs a lighter and starts trying to put it on fire. I'm like, yeah.
So when you died,
Yeah.
how'd that affect your week to week?
I mean, I kind of had to. You mean going forward with the game?
Yeah, going forward with the game.
I just had to. When you create a character, you kind of try to adopt their mindset as much as possible. I think most of my characters have always been chaotic, so that's kind of where that came from. But I just kind of had to get into a different mindset. The next character I created was similar, but
But
I
not
had
the
not
character
exactly.
part 2.
Right. I kind of had to just adopt a new personality for a new character.
Although you did keep playing Druid.
I did keep playing. I love druids, man. They're great.
No, which is fine. It's
Yeah.
just you want to try maybe a fighter this time? Druid.
I was thinking about.
How about
fighter,
rogue?
Actually.
Druid. Sorcerer, maybe.
Yeah.
Druid. Yeah.
Druids are good. I don't know.
Druids are fun.
Druid.
And so when it comes to you, like, you know, because obviously game night is kind of, you know, it was the guys' night for a long time for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it came to, you know, because we'd always play at your house because you had the best hosting space.
Yeah.
When, you know, that day of the week comes up, how does your day go? Because I know how my day goes every time I have to prepare for DMing, which is frantically panic, try to assemble everything that I can, and then just say, well, it's not going to work anyways, but here we go.
You mean you don't try to improvise literally everything?
I
should
Sometimes
consider
that's the
taking notes at some point.
Yeah, no, every now and again I've been known to write a note or two when my players don't do it for me.
Yeah.
That's bad practice, by the way. Please write notes. It's convenient. We're joking.
So for my day for game day, it's I'm sure yours is a lot more stressful than mine because I'm just
got to show up.
Yeah, my
Be
mindset
yourself.
is I'm trying to think about what's going to happen this week. You know, I always try to foreshadow based on what happened last week. But I'm sure, you have a lot more planning than I do. I just like to make sure the house is clean, and I'm going to kind of have like a rough guesstimation of what I think I'm going to try to do this week.
Yeah, no, and then usually, I mean, back in the day, too, when we were all on that kitchen life schedule, the game would go from like 10 p.m. till about 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then sleeping.
Different roommates, different lifestyles.
It was a different life. It was a different
time.
R.I.P. So, at this point, because now you've gotten like a couple campaigns under your belt, and you're thinking about stepping up to the big chair.
I want to.
Take the plunge.
Take the plunge. And at first you'll hate it, and then you'll love it.
One of us.
One of us.
One of us.
Join us.
So when you finally do take the big plunge, because I know you've been slowly working up to it, occasionally some of my books will go missing, and then I'll just see you sitting over there reading
Oh
them,
yeah.
lurking. And
I'm gonna mysteriously acquire that one that just looks just like the one you lost.
yeah.
No, that's not yours. That's mine.
Fresh new coat of paint.
Oh, yeah, weird. No, yeah, no. I mean, I know I've been missing it, but it can't
Just change the cover.
Of course, the paint's wet. It's my favorite one.
What? So for you, because again, you're sitting on that casual player step point. So when you do step up to the big chair, what is like? How do you think the game's going to change? Because I mean, like the second I started playing D&D, I basically was just prepped DM. I started like writing backstories for like not only my character but a couple other people who like just wanted to start playing D&D with us. Like, I don't know how to write a backstory. I was like, I'll do it. Done. I wrote like 7 backstories. Had back and forth with everybody and stuff. Like
It's fun.
basically started co-DMing like under Paul because I would just micromanage for Paul while he was doing important things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. All right.
Like trying to figure out exactly how fast disease spreads because that was the thing that mattered in 3rd edition.
3.5 rules. How do you think your mindset like?
So going from a player
I should-
mindset to a DM mindset.
Let me like just put it out there a little
Okay.
bit better. How has the ramping up been doing for wanting to DM? Because we've talked about it a couple of times now.
I gotta get.
You gotta buy books.
You have to put a lot more thought into the storyline because as a player,
The story just sort of evolves from your actions.
you go right straight through the story, but as a DM, you have to be prepared for every possible situation. It's like reading a book versus writing a book.
yeah,
I have to have everything planned out so that any possible outcome I could be ready for, or at least be able to wing it on the spot.
Yeah, I'm actually going to pause for a moment and say that one thing I do see new DMs generally try to do and burn themselves out on very quickly is planning out very far in advance, whereas you just sort of generally need a general outline of where you want things to go. But it's so tempting to write out what you're going to do in advance because it'll make things easier for you.
Yeah,
But
because I don't know.
jokes about chaos theory and the butterfly effect aside, you literally cannot tell what your players are going to do because there's going to be some harebrained scheme that's going to crop up.
No plan survives contact with the players.
Right. Well, this is why. Yeah, that's why I was saying. Yeah, one thing I like about you, Jake, is you're able to just fire from the hip when you got to sometimes.
Yeah, I'm a shooter.
Because sometimes we'll see it on your face. You're like, oh, I'm ready for that.
I like the time that Nacho murdered a
roll
man
right through
for
it,
his
though.
frosted tips.
Yeah, there was the time Nacho murdered a man for his frosted tips, and I had to take about 10 minutes just to figure out what next. because he just scrapped about 30 minutes of comedy routine I had planned.
Has he met Dr. Kellen Ware yet?
Uh,
They'd be friends. Yeah.
Regardless.
what's more fun for you, evil character or good character? Because you did get a little into Mr. Kellen.
We all know that you're going to be playing chaotic characters, so.
So I think if I get to DM, I'll probably open up my mind a little bit more. But I typically do like to play chaotic characters. I just think it makes the game more dynamic. It's more fun for me because, we have a lot of people that, for example, Clint will typically play more of would you say a lawful character?
Policeman style
A
role.
good character, very up, and then that's okay.
Guys, we can't burn down the orphanage.
Right.
You all saw it, that
Why
orphanage
not?
attacked.
Why not? So I think it kind of offsets, so we have a more dynamic group if I'm a little more chaotic.
I would love to get Tom in here for this, too. I wish I could have gotten Tom for this, too. No, because Tom was the worst paladin I've ever seen, and I love it. No, he's just like, dude, we're
They
level
can't all
10
be
now.
winners.
We're level
Right.
10 now. We can just, like, beat
Walk
people up and
around,
take their
yeah.
money. And I was like, that is the least paladin
Is that
thing
your
you
level
could
one?
do.
Is that your level 1?
He's just
What
like,
do you
yo,
mean you can't tell me?
he's like, can we, like, he actually did one of my, like, the funniest conversations I ever had with Tom. He's like, yo, can we just run a session where it doesn't count, kind of like a save file on GTA and just kind of like run around and kill everybody? And I was like, Tom, you want me to just like line up commoners for you so you can chop them down? Yes.
Oh
That's
my
exactly what
Women,
Tom wanted.
children, whatever you got.
Yeah, no, he just wanted to fall really hard for 1 week.
We're so on a watch list now.
Uh,
Yeah.
Wait,
already
we're already
were.
on a watch list. I know what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
they're shutting us down.
Hi, FBI. How you guys doing?
all right. And I guess final thoughts really quick with, because your love and your, dedication to the hobby has grown over time. When the hell are you going to buy a player's handbook so you can quit borrowing mine?
Actually,
Never ever said every
Actually-
player ever.
since you mentioned that, Jake, probably never. No, I think probably in the next couple of weeks I'll be getting one.
That a
That's good
boy.
to hear.
That's what I was hoping
Because
for.
like, to touch back on that topic from earlier for a sec, it's I'm kind of planning out some of the possible games that I would run. I think the player's handbook would definitely be beneficial for planning everything.
Yeah, it's got the core rules, and I mean, it doesn't have the monsters, but there's always the internet for those.
Yep.
But I think it'll be a refreshing experience to kind of see the game from a different viewpoint, because I've been kind of like underground planning my own style of games. I was like, oh, it'd be cool to run a game like this,
Well, I will bring you back in once you've had a couple of games under your belt, and we'll interview a
Yeah.
new DM.
Newdom.
But right now, you're still just a player, so you get to
Yep.
sit here and chip in on the next thing we're going to talk
Yeah.
about. So let's move on. Let's shift gears. We got 4 blessed days of spoopy time left.
Until Halloween.
And then
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
60 days of Christmas. So
That's unfortunate.
a little bit. So let's get into the big meat today. The roast, the meat and potatoes, the core of the show for the day. Spoopy monsters, spoopy diseases.
Scary freaks.
We got we were talking about it in the car, and Paul actually had a fantastic suggestion. Lycanthropy, vampirism, and a bunch of other diseases that spread via monsters.
Mummy rot.
Mummy rot. Mummy rot is I've seen so many good memes on mummy rot lately, because it's just like the actual worst. That's the only reason you use mummies, is just so you can pimp slap your players with some mummy rot.
I mean,
But it's coming. You're like, oh, Mummy's great.
yeah, I mean, it's not like you're not going to see the mummy rot coming when the mummies show up.
Yeah,
I don't
no.
have to tell you about that, but
Oh, we're going into a tomb, huh?
I wonder if there's going to
I
be
wonder if there's
mummies
going to be
there.
mummies with mummy rot.
But Paul, lead us in on
Lycanthropes and vampires. I should say that this is somewhat of a contentious topic to talk about the general history of lycanthropy and vampirism. The earliest references we have to werewolves, I believe, is in ancient Rome, where I'm pretty sure the understanding is that it was an explanation for serial killers.
Yep.
But in the 1800s and later on, and especially into pop culture and I suppose regular culture, is that both of those are sort of a metaphor for some repressed part of human behavior.
Absolutely.
And I mean, you see the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde comparisons as well, as werewolves represent the sort of bestial inner feelings that people have, and
Man's inner
vampires,
primal instinct.
yeah, and vampires are sort of, I don't know, sort of repressed sexual instinct, in that they tend to be, once you get past Nosferatu, they tend to be sort of sexy.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. There's something
Sexy vampires
Saying
intimate
Nosferatu's
about
not
draining
sexy?
blood,
with a
I
kiss.
guess.
With a kiss.
Yeah, I believe it was in Bram Stoker's Dracula. Originally, they were going to eat blood from the chest, but they decided that was too sexy, so they went for the neck instead.
Wow, that wasn't sexier.
Yeah, I know, right?
It was actually more
Yeah.
hardcore.
I don't know what Bram Stoker was thinking. Anyway, so, and when I went into this topic, my first thought was they're CR9 and they're immune to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. But I did
Right.
some reading. I've looked things up, and vampires and werewolves have appeared in literally every edition of Dungeons and Dragons ever. I'm pretty sure in the first monster manual.
How could they not?
Each
It's such a
time.
fun concept.
Yeah, the idea of a monster that spreads like a disease is interesting, although I do think vampires are sort of exempt from that because vampire spawn exists, and most vampires, I believe, are cursed to do so. Well,
So the exact rules for making a vampire, according to the monster manual. I'll
crack open that bad boy.
we'll even crack open this bad boy and actually give you the precise reading and not just as I remember it. Even though I do use the living hell out of vampires
Does it
because
follow the same rules like zombies?
well, no. So the main effect or the main, hang on, boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doo. Where is it?
That's vampire spawn, so you're pretty close.
Yep, there is a whole section on it. But the long and short of it is they, a person who is just killed by a regular bite by a vampire is turned into a vampire spawn. But if they want to make you into a vampire, then
They let the vomit some ichor into your veins
yeah,
or something.
there's it's buried in here somewhere. But
Kinda
it's-
vile.
They have to be very, very specific about you gonna be my vampire now. You get the love.
And to sum up vampire spawn, for those of you who don't know, is they're like vampires, but they suck. And not in the sense that they drink blood. They're just not very
Less
good.
intelligent.
They're just less.
They're just
They're just
not as much.
Admittedly, you can use them as much lower level enemies and don't have to have them be
More like vampire.
Well,
clones.
I mean, they're actually
decaying threats.
they're pretty powerful fodder actually. CR5, they have the damage resistances from necrotic, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical attacks. They have regeneration.
Yeah, isn't it regeneration 10 or something stupid like that?
Yeah, it's 10 hit points. But they if they take radiant damage or they get splashed by a little bit of that holy water, just throw some Jesus juice on them and they kind of calm down.
My question is why the priests don't like bless the river and then just no more vampires.
Just remove the dam and let it go wild.
Well, they are harmed by running water. They take 20 acid damage when they end their turn in running water.
Yes, let's briefly go over the traditional vampire weaknesses are running water.
Stake to the heart.
Yeah, the crucifix is not very applicable in Dungeons and Dragons, so they sort of combine that into generic holy symbol. And I believe one of the traditional ones is they have to be invited, but I don't think that's true in Dungeons and Dragons.
Nope, it is still here. Forbiddance.
Per
You gotta let 'em in.
traditional vampire lore, they have to be invited into your home.
Nope, they still got it here. They still got these rules.
it
I actually do
still-
love
okay.
vampire spawn as a low level threat because
Oh yeah, I've thrown a couple of them against 4th level, 3rd level parties.
they are beefy, and then they've got a couple of great variants here in the books. But more importantly, so what happens if you decide you're gonna turn one of your players?
Well, I guess there's sort of a problem here, and there's a moral dissonance between the fiction, ludonarrative dissonance between the fiction of becoming a vampire and the mechanics of becoming a vampire, in that you're sort of losing your soul in the story sense, and that you're becoming this unearthly thing that's sort of inhabiting your space, but mechanically you just sort of get a bunch of powers.
You just kind of get better.
Yeah, like, oh no, I've lost my humanity. I've become a filthy vampire, but all that actually happens to me is I become immune to non-magical bludgeoning,
Great,
piercing,
now I
and
can
slashing,
fly,
and
darn it.
fly.
Yeah, I can turn into bats and
What a curse
mists.
this
I hate
is.
it.
And every time I go to 0 hit points, I just go back to my casket. Damn.
What a curse.
Yeah. This is so bad. Oh yeah, and the sun hurts.
I can sleep for years.
Well, you're a murder hobo. You're not going to see the sun.
The sun.
I don't see the sun anyway, so
Um,
sounds like
You
most
spend
of
all your
us.
time in dungeons anyway.
no, but
And
Spend
basements.
most of
so
the
back
days are
back
just
to the
seeing our
main
eyes to
back to the
sunlight.
main thing though. So, and the same problem happens with lycanthropy. It's a lot easier
So we're
though
going
to
to talk
spread.
more about lycanthropy later.
Yeah, which is
so
more
stay
of a
tuned.
curse. But so with vampirism, and let's talk about using it as an actual plot hook because I've used it before and actually it was kind of effective when
You turned like half of the party.
I turned it was just Mike. Everybody else down there just died.
Oh, right. I forgot. I
Because-
thought Sophie turned, but that was...
Well, I turned her character into a wraith because I thought it was
Yeah, we could talk about the spreading of wraiths and the wraith apocalypse later. So
yeah, and the burning of buildings and wraith destruction. But no, so it was actually a pretty effective plot point. At this point, the party had access to because the villain at the time was a vampire. Because I love vampires as villains because you can knock them down and then they just come back from their casket.
and you like using villains that you can put a name and a face to and sort of give overarching plot elements to, whereas I like to have not generic, but faceless organizations as enemies.
And plus, they're a good mid-level kind of a lich deal. You know, like lich
Yeah.
21 CR. You know,
Not really something you can use in most games.
kind of you got to kind of build all the way up to that. Where with a vampire, you can have them around at level 1, and by the time the party's level 7 or 8, they can take a pretty hardy crack at it if anybody's played Ravenloft. But the idea that I went for, because all the players died in that fight except for the one NPC who was with them who ran, which is a smart move.
PCs never run. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just gonna break for a second and talk about that. I had a group of PCs of which 3 of whom were dying, one of whom was at less than half health and one was at nearly full health because they weren't attacking the one in plate armor. And one of the players said, "Guys, I think we may need to consider running away for the first time." After there's still 6 guys with knives running around after them. Players don't run away. They're suicidally overconfident.
Yep, gotta love it. So
So the NPC ran away.
yeah, the NPC ran away after they got smoked in a fight. I felt really bad, first of all, because they did walk like dead ass into a trap, and it wasn't even the whole party. It was
I
just
just think people don't
they
really
split the
think
party.
about it. I've never had it's never been on the forefront of my mind. We should run away. It's always all right. What else can we throw at this?
But when it finally wrapped up, so
Full of salt and pepper, aren't we?
yeah, a little bit. But when it finally wrapped up, what I was able to take out of the situation, because I was like, okay, well, hell, now I have 2 players who have to roll new characters.
Yeah, thanks for that, by the way.
You weren't even involved in this one. This is a different vampire. Actually, no, same vampire.
Is it really?
Yeah, no, that
Different
dude's
campaign.
actually
He was ruining other people's lives.
dude. Yeah, no, he ruined a lot of lives before you guys finally killed him.
Maybe he should retire.
No, he retired with a good 6 player kills under his belt. Pretty good, pretty
Does
good
he
for
ever
a
has on a shelf.
no, but I have them written down on a beautiful little list at my house.
Great. Just great.
But if I can get to my damn point, so what I did was I turned the monk into a vampire that was being experimented on because I was running this whole vampires be new kind of a thing. Nobody knew where vampires came from. And so they were able to I did kind of a bit where he knew where the other vampire was, but the vampire also knew where he was,
Which made things somewhat inconvenient for both of them.
Yeah, for both parties. And, we had the OG or the former party member, now an NPC who's under lock and key, 25-8, experimented on. And then also the party could talk to him to try to get more information about what's going on with other vampire who they were trying to hunt down. And so that was what I thought was the best way I could do it. Now, I did, once the party finally got a little bit more levels under him, I did finally let the vampire NPC go back into player control, because when all this went down, you guys were 6th level.
7th, I believe.
Yeah,
but
6th or 7th level, and Vampire Monk would just
Oh,
kung
no.
fu Don't worry, guys.
I have to get close to bite them. It's not like I run at 50 miles an hour. And
Yeah.
I'm focused around close quarters combat.
Why fly when you can sprint at people? Yeah, I'm going to bite you, and then I'm going to jump on your back and kick you in the head while I'm eating you.
Again, this sort of comes back to the problem where vampires and Dungeons & Dragons don't have much of the curse part of the vampiric curse and a lot of the, oh, look at all these sweet powers I get.
It's mostly benefit.
They are buff, and you just throw spells on them, and they're even buffer. I combined vampire and warlock, and it's just like, well, call it a day.
It's part of the reason you kind of have to take control away from a player rather than letting them continue to play a vampire.
Which would you say would be the best combination with a vampire?
I like warlock for flavor.
Cleric.
Warlock, cleric.
Cleric would be rude.
See,
Fighter would be.
one.
Frankly, there isn't a bad class to stick on vampire because it's
Wizard.
just so beefy. Yeah.
Vampires live a long time. Wizards get better as they get older.
Yep.
But I like cleric personally because who better to command an army of undead than a vampire cleric?
Right.
The idea of
Holy unholy.
rogue sneak attack bite. Not only did I bite you,
That's cape.
not only did I bite you, extra damage for sneak attack.
We'd also be kind of remiss to talk all about these vampires and not mention the famous one, of course, Strahd.
Strad.
Yeah.
Is it Strahd?
Strad.
Strahd.
No, I just like calling him Strad.
Strad like Chad.
Yeah, Strad like Chad because he is kind of a bro.
Please, somebody draw Strahd in
Does
a
it smell like Starburst?
beer helmet.
Mountain Dew.
No, but
Wearing a wife beater.
you know, reading his backstory, I definitely get the feeling that Daddy owned a dealership or a kingdom, however you want to put it.
He definitely owns a pink polo that's too small for him.
Yeah, Schmedium,
Shmi.
Strad and a Schmedium.
Strahd, I believe, has been pretty pushed in 5th edition. He's even got his own adventure.
Ravenloft, which is amazing.
And it's
Fantastic adventure.
pretty much his own setting. I mean, yes, the other dimensions of Dimensions of Dread, I believe. I can't remember. Lord, I'm off today. The other ones exist, but people care about the one with Strad.
Strad. All right, let's talk about practically using vampires, and then we'll move on to werewolves, and then we can. I think we got time for mind flayers and Slad. We'll call it a day. Slad. No, because I've been experimenting a lot with Slad lately, and I can't wait to talk about them.
Vampire spawn are an excellent way to use vampires in games that aren't high enough level that you obliterate armies in a Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah. So when the party's level 3, level 4, working their way up, a vampire spawn makes just a great little mid-level villain because they're vampire light.
Yeah, you don't have to deal with all the problems that top-level vampires can do, like, hey, I have 200-odd hit points and can punch you through a brick wall.
And then turn into a bat, and then also the mind control and the hold person. So effective.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Vampires also get mind control as a gaze attack.
Yeah.
Give that to a player and see how well that goes. They'll be running a country by the end of the week.
Yeah. So effective vampire use as a villain. I mean, Ravenloft does a really good job of telling you how you should run Strahd, but personally, I'm not a super big fan of the way they do Strahd just because homie listens to Trapped. Like his favorite album, I'm pretty sure, is Headstrong 11 times, and then the 12th track is Live in Phoenix, Headstrong.
Puddle of Mud's self-titled.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's just, yeah. No, because Strahd's, like, one of Strahd's main characteristics is he will just show up to talk shit to the party and just be like, hey, fuck boys, I'm here.
See,
How you doing?
What are you going to do about it?
I mean, I understand that they're trying to make you hate him, but that's just the kind of thing that would make me dislike my game master rather than a villain.
But tips for effective vampire use other than they outline in Curse of Strahd, which if you don't have it, you should get it. If you do like running prepackaged adventures, it's really good. Their abilities to mind control just are awesome. I love using a vampire to send like emissaries, like just unsuspecting. Again, this kind of relates back to the horror episode we did last week, but vampire emissary, like, you know, just having a vampire send, you know, a child, you know, like a little 5-year-old child to the party, because I mean, unless I now that I think about it, I know about 3 players who would just, you know, punt the hell out of that child. But for the most part, the party's gonna, you know, it's spooky. It follows the traditional horror movie trope of little white kid not moving, not saying much. I have
standing
a message.
in the hallway.
Yep, standing in the hallway. And it effectively builds tension, and you're able to do that with a lot of people. They know they can easily affect NPCs and other people that the party have met over time, and you can just they do a good job of both being a martial threat, but the amount of like political damage a well-motivated vampire can actually achieve is breathtaking.
Yeah, I mean,
Your tangible and intangible.
The reason you're using a vampire as opposed to, I don't know, a wraith or a werewolf is that they're intelligent. So play up that intelligence.
Yeah,
Make them
there's
manipulate
method to the
people.
madness.
They know what they're doing, generally speaking. And I believe vampires even get smarter, too, because, Lord, they got to have everything as one of their bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I think their worst stat is wisdom at a crackling 14.
I wish my wisdom was 14. Anyway, vampires need to be not necessarily politically astute, but they need to be clever. And this is going to be difficult because, what are they, intelligence 16, something like that?
Intelligence 17. 18 strength, 18 dex, 18 con, 17 int, 15 whiz, 18 charisma.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the kind of stat line.
I
one
rolled
gets
these
by
stats
cheating.
at home by myself.
Again,
My mom watched. Go
the
on,
thing is that you are probably not intelligence 17. So you may have to cheat and have your vampire just sort of act about things they shouldn't know because they predicted them. And that's
Right.
generally good advice for a lot of villains with high intelligence. Like
Yeah, that is something we
dragons.
do love to hype on.
But especially a vampire needs to not just be a one-off, there's a vampire in this 10 by 10 stone room. He's going to jump you now. A vampire should probably be a recurring villain. If you want to use a vampire for a straight-up fight, use vampire spawn instead, maybe leveled up if your players are higher level. I mean, vampire spawn are good.
Yeah. No, you
mean-
throw 3 of them. I mean, they're CR5. You throw 3 of them at like a traditional,
numbers.
4-person, 7-player, level 7 4-person party. Yeah, and that came out in word salad. It's going to be a challenging fight.
Well, it depends on the composition of the party, of course. But a party with a particularly aggressively holy lineup will probably not have nearly as much difficulty.
Very true. Yeah, no, you got a paladin and a cleric, then vampire spawn just kind of drop like a bad habit.
Yeah. But I think I've sort of rambled on about vampires enough. They're good. They're effective villains. I should be using them more myself.
Well, they get game time in damn near every campaign I have just because they're so versatile. You know, like I said, they're
fun to
great
play.
they're great for political stuff. They're great for actually just being a good face-to-face monster because if the party successfully beats them, well, they just turn into mist and float on back to the coffin.
Yeah. One more thing I'd like to recommend is the 3rd edition Dungeon Master's Guide 2 has an excellent outline of a vampire that people could consider using, where a betrayed woman comes back to life as a vampire to horribly murder the people who wronged her, and then continues on murdering people who roam the streets alone at night. Not necessarily politically effective, but a tragic story when you actually do find out about it.
Huh. Fun.
Neat.
Indeed. Also, too, as one more aside, I do love Drow and vampires. That is a fun little marriage.
Oh, yeah, because there's not much sun down there, is there?
There's no sun in the Underdark. Also, it always made more sense to me that vampires would be created by Lolth.
Yeah, I suppose that makes
Kind
sense.
of a spidery thing, but that's just my setting. So, werewolves, or lichens, because they come in were-rats, were-boars, were-tigers, were-bears,
We got all kinds of things. Come down to your big house of
were-shit.
Where
Where can-
Emporium.
All right, so prick them down. Players getting afflicted. Yeah, let me do.
Afflicted.
Yeah,
You're okay there, man?
no.
All right, just making sure.
Okay. Players getting afflicted with it. Paul, run us down.
Well, the thing about becoming a werewolf as opposed to becoming a vampire is that it actually has some bite to the actual curse, because you do stuff like blacking out and waking up covered in blood that isn't yours, which could have some repercussions, to put it lightly. But again, the problem is that once you actually figure out how to control your form, if you can figure out how to control your form, is that it's just, oh no, now I can turn into a form that doesn't look anything like me and has immunity to non-magical, non-silvered, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. And I have claw attacks, and I'm strong, and I'm fast.
I actually have a question. I don't know much about werewolves. Is there a change in intelligence when you're in your form.
I'm glad
versus-
you said that, Tim, because player characters as lycanthropes, as outlined in the monster manual, okay. This is where you got to be careful with it because these bonuses are actually kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Um,
Again, this is my entire thesis here, guys.
yeah. Let's see. They gain a. Hang on. I just want to make sure. In non-humanoid form, they get the damage immunities, the traits, and the actions that don't involve equipment. They are proficient with natural attacks, bites, and claws. So early game, this is
Very good.
devastatingly badass, and then late game, it's kind of like the Skyrim werewolf. You just turn early, and you're like, "Yeah, look at me, I can destroy everything." And then by the end of the game, you're just like, "And I'm
dead."
I'm only going to use it as an oh shit button, and run away very quickly." Let me specify that. Just use it to run away. Yeah, you get a bunch of
Intentionally turning yourself into horrible monsters, you can run a little faster.
Yeah, your stats improve. Based on what kind of were thing you turn into.
I should say, especially that
Statistically, it's strong.
werewolves, specifically werewolves, have no change to their intelligence score. But from my understanding of lycanthropes in the Monster Manual, generally speaking, to avoid the problem of that you just get a whole bunch of powers, lycanthropes are not in control of their animal form, which, again, goes back to the sort of statement of werewolves as a statement on repressed bestial primal instincts.
But it does, the good book,
Yeah, they all speak to different parts of the
Human psyche.
human. I assume human psyche.
the good book, the Monster Manual, though, does refer to, sorry, Tim,
That's okay.
bears and were-tigers as good.
Yes, which is another topic for another day about the weirdness of the alignment system.
But
Yeah.
I would imagine it would be more like a chaotic kind of.
No, just the idea. No, they're
Less
lawful,
intelligent,
actually.
more chaotic.
Yeah.
Okay.
You turn into a were-tiger, and apparently you
You
were just
become a good person.
you were just a. That
Hey,
needs.
hey. Howdy,
that-
neighbor.
That's never dawned on me. Yeah, no, there just needs to be like an unrepentant bastard of a person, but then every full moon he turns into a were-tiger and he's just like giving away all of his money to charity and stuff.
Undoing
Howdy ho,
all the
neighbor.
How
wrong
we
he's
doing?
done.
Boy, it
Just
sure
a
is a hot
giant-
one today.
Turns into a big old cat, Ned Flanders.
Here's all my money.
Howdy ho, neighbor.
It definitely has a
It-
Canadian accent too.
It is
Howdy.
Give her bud.
it is a bit weird that, I mean, it's not weird that lycanthropy would change your behavior, but it is a bit weird that it would result in such odd things, because werewolves at least represent the primal instinct to destroy and attack things, usually.
Yeah.
They represent the rage that people sort of let go because it's not productive. But where does a were-tiger come to this? Does everyone secretly have a desire to be
I've never wanted to be a
whitewashing
tiger.
fences?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Effectively using lycanthropy and then allowing it to affect your players in game. It's optional. It can make for a very interesting side quest.
Yeah, but you don't want to have it be a straight power up for your player characters. If they are getting a bonus, make sure it comes at a horrible cost.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun storytelling beats you can actually hit. There's also there are the way it's set up in the book. Although Paul and I do lichens the same in our games. In the book, they're supposed to be sentient and like, hey, I'm a werewolf, but I'm pretty smart. Check my algebra homework. Perfect.
With the bear voice.
Yeah.
Hi.
Boy,
Anyways,
that's everywhere Tiger's face now. Sorry, I don't make the rules.
yeah. No, we.
Sorry.
Anyways.
play the game.
When using lichens, I always go with the make them monsters. The human turning into a monster can't control it. Yada yada yada. Maybe with enough time and practice, they can eventually learn to control it. But
That's not something that would be in the hands of players usually.
yeah. What you need to do to use it effectively, though, because you can create great drama with if you're using a lichen as an encounter. If you've picked a werewolf as or a werebear, whatever, as something that's fighting. Building drama around finding a cure for a player who's bitten can be a really good side quest and buy you time if you're running out of ideas for a little bit or you haven't had much time to prep. Also, ambush attacks and helping a small town, great little side quest. And they're really beefy monsters, all of them.
They're actually. This is one of my. I'm going to complain a moment. So as is my tradition.
Get them.
It is a bit strange to me that in an edition where we've mostly removed the damage resistance and you must be this high level to continue fighting this monster, that they have a hard lock on all bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, but all elemental damage still hits them just fine. So this runs into problems that we actually had, in that we had several party members who were completely unable to contribute because they didn't have any magical weapons at the level they are supposed to be fighting werewolves. But the wizards and sorcerers and stuff could still fight normally.
Well, I mean, that's just...
The cleric ended up being the biggest damage dealer because guiding bolt is scary.
Yeah, guiding bolt's a hell of a drug. Yeah, when using them, I mean, obviously, just the very traditional stuff of try to make sure your players all have a way to contribute, because no one likes to, be useless for a combat.
Be the cheerleader.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't avoid it, or sometimes
social support.
Or sometimes you can't avoid it, and sometimes it like happens. But if you're on your best behavior, you can try to avoid it.
That said, they are a fun monster to fight with.
I do
of the risk of lycanthropy.
I do love the concept of using a werewolf. Like I said, like one of the best things in Skyrim that I really liked was the dude who was in jail for being a werewolf. No, it was a great quest, and you can put that into any D&D game, just at any time. It is the most slottable quest you can steal from anything. Is man in prison for being a werewolf.
I mean, yeah, it's
a common situation.
It does sort of come back to the original concept of werewolf as an explanation for serial killers. You can do that just fine, just for the love of God, don't be J.K. Rowling and use it as a metaphor for HIV. That's just...
Wait, that was a thing?
Yeah,
I want to say that I think, looking at all these concepts like werewolves and vampires, I think literature was just better back then. I think.
Well, that's because you didn't see the legions of unmitigated trash that didn't survive to the modern day.
Yeah, the ones that survived the test of time, and now we got.
Moving on. We're not even.
I do want to say that to have a player be turning into a werewolf does require that the player sort of understand that they shouldn't be metagaming. One of my player characters was bitten by a werewolf, and the player is doing an excellent job of separating the character knowledge from the player knowledge, and it hasn't come up yet, and they're slowly turning into a werewolf, and nobody knows this yet in character. Out of character, everyone knows, and several jokes have been made about it.
Yeah. Final thoughts and feelings on werewolves. I actually think they're a little weak in the book. I like mine bigger, beefier, so I custom stat block them.
I mean, yeah, I actually kind of like them where they are because they don't have any class levels. It's just your random podunk nobody who turned into a werewolf.
Monster manual.
Oh, okay.
You can make werewolves scary by giving them class levels, obviously.
Sneak attack.
Wizard wolf.
Wizard wolf. Thunderous smite from a werewolf. That is
Were-tiger.
That is one hell of a slap.
It's monster than howls.
I think werewolves are honestly fine. They fit well at the level of play that I consider optimal for Dungeons & Dragons, which is levels 1 to about 7.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's see other spoopy monsters that we get. We're
going to talk about wraiths and shadows.
Yeah,
I was going to talk briefly about the wraith apocalypse, where I believe. Let me see the monster manual because I can't remember if it's the wraiths and the shadows that whenever they kill a creature, it turns into another one of them, which people have quickly pointed out gets rapidly out of hand if, say, it attacks in the market square or something. Because then you just have a bajillion wraiths attacking people.
That's why I love Wraith. So, now that being said, though, Wraith is, and this is very quickly, it should be becoming obvious to people that I will look at a stat block and I'll go, nah, and just change it. My Wraiths are also beefy.
Thankfully,
bigger and meaner.
5th edition overcame this problem by making Wraiths only able to control 7 specters at a time.
Only?
So you don't have the issue where, again, it rampages through a small town, and because nobody has magical weapons, soon you have a town of Wraiths heading to a city to go kill and raise their numbers further.
Wraiths are fun.
Zombie apocalypses that can walk through walls.
Yeah, pretty much. again, good little mid-level villain.
Yep, incorporeality is an interesting trick.
Hell of a drug.
I would not drop it on low-level players. Even shadows are a bit tricky to deal with, and they're only CR 1/2.
Well, yeah, I mean, because the best part of wow, I'm just not even going to try to English today. Yeah. Wow, yeah, no, it's spreading. The ability to do ghost stuff.
Intangible, let's go with that. That's much easier to say.
Yeah. Wow. Unique New York.
There you go.
There.
New York.
The ability to go incorporeal gives them fantastic guerrilla warfare tactics.
Attacking from the floor is very difficult to fight against.
Yeah. Doing a lot of hit and run stuff. I normally just see, like, every time I've seen a Wraith get used by other DMs, like in random games that I've played in, it's just turned into a quick tank and spank. Using them effectively, just have them dash through walls. You'll build tension and have them, again, hit and run. They're fairly intelligent creatures.
Usually, yeah.
Let's double check that intelligence stat.
I'm pretty sure Wraiths are intelligent. I don't think Shadows are very
No,
intelligent.
shadows are dumb. Shadows are like really dumb, I'm pretty
Kind
sure.
of like the devil demon concept.
Yeah. How many different ways of saying ghost person does a game really need, honestly?
Enough.
Wispy spooky guy.
Will-o'-the-Wisp, Alep. Aleps are also good there.
Oh, we were on.
I believe those are the ones that drain wisdom scores and drive you insane.
Don't worry, I'm going to find the W
There you
section
go.
eventually.
You just found it.
Yep, there we go. Yeah, intelligence 12.
Yeah, Wraiths are pretty smart.
Hit and run tactics, because we got to wrap up here shortly. So hit and run tactics and spooking and scaring. On to the next.
I believe you were going to say something about Slod. They're not terribly scary, but...
Well, they do the chest burster thing, though.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
But I was actually going to start with Mind Flayers, my second favorite monster in all of D&D behind the Owlbear, because I don't think we gave them enough love either this week or last week when we were doing the spook stuff. So I'm just going to try to rush through everything I had cooked up for
I'll
them.
Tack on some stuff about aboleths, too, because they share a lot of the same sort of headspace for that.
Yeah. Oh, God, aboleths are good. We do need to do like a whole episode on aboleths. So...
Mind Flayers.
Mind Flayers. I'm just trying to think of how I can crunch this down and compress. Okay. Obviously, they share a lot of where I like them. They do a lot of the same things that vampires do, just they're a little weaker. You can tone them down.
They have psionic attacks, which, yes, vampires can dominate you with a gaze, but they also can't crush your spirit like Yami Yugi or something.
Yeah. So obviously they're spooky. They're, they think like aliens. They're
Mind Flayers obsessed with children's card games. One.
They're trying to eat. They're trying to collect more brains. More knowledge for the elder brain. Skulls for the skull throne. Brains for the elder brain.
Love it.
Everyone loves it.
Love it.
No, okay. Using them effectively. So, mind games. They're very good at because they communicate telepathically, and they have alien thoughts. So they'll usually just run a couple of packs of intellect devourers around just to mess with people.
Brain dogs or something like that.
Yeah, let intellect devour, make sure you use intellect devourers, have them, just kind of do the mind flayers bidding. And then, honestly, again, I don't see it enough because normally a mind flayer is usually sitting in a chamber and, does the evil cackle and the tentacles, kind of whip around. They are a hell of an ambush. They are a hell of an ambush attacker. The main idea that you should try to, if you're really, really trying to put the screws to your players and put them in a very tense situation, is try to force them into a situation where you can split them and then have the Mind Flayer start...
attacking one group over the other.
Yeah, attacking one group over the other, because Mind Flayer against 4 people is just going to get riggedy wrecked.
We can talk briefly, of course, about how pretty much one of anything versus 4 people is going to get riggedy wrecked.
Yeah. But if you can successfully divide and conquer, that brain-eating attack really freaking hurts. It's
I do think it's a bit odd that you can survive having your brain eaten.
Like Nacho did. With 1
He's
HP.
a barbarian. He
That
wasn't
explains
using
a
it.
lot.
He had 1 HP left. It was incredible.
So would you say that they're more difficult to play against compared to other monsters?
No, they are super easy.
Okay.
From a player perspective, because, you just have to
not
save
get
really.
grappled.
Yeah, you have to not get grappled, and you have to roll good on your saves.
Cover your head.
Cover your head.
Just wear a nice
Wear a
helmet.
They do it
helmet.
because they do have a great toolkit with. They have like a hold person. They have
They still have the telekinetic blast, I assume.
yes, which will hold you in place, and then they can do the eating of the brains. They just do a bunch of damage, and they're fantastic, spooky things. Try to make sure that you're using them in a way that is obviously playing to their alien nature. Things they are
Don't
saying.
just have them waiting again in a 10x10 stone room.
Yeah. They're up to something, and it usually makes no sense. And their thoughts and any telepathic things they say to you also shouldn't make any sense because they're supposed to be
So like subliminal messaging.
they're just supposed to be a alien intelligence, like aboleths. Eat Taco Bell.
Smoke.
Smoke Camel cigarettes. Why is this mind flayer telling me
Smoothest
this?
flavor you'll ever get.
Oh, jeez. And then, no, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's compressed, quick mind flayer notes.
Yeah, I mean, and if once you're ready to graduate into the big leagues, you can use aboleths instead, which are like mind flayers, but even more alien and dangerous.
Well, in Volo's Guide to Monsters too, we do have the Lich mind flayer, which is the nastiest piece of work in that book.
Ilhoon, I believe. I can't remember that.
Yeah, and then there's also the.
When
There
are we
is.
going to get a paladin mind flayer is my question.
Oh, jeez. Smite bite.
Yeah, brain-eating smite attack.
Yeah.
Thunderous bite. There we go.
I'm sorry,
That
but
was fine.
that visual is just fantastic because instead of eating the brain, it just like forces the brain out the asshole, just like shoots through their body. Just kind of.
It's like a tube of toothpaste.
Yeah, no, it's like a potato gun, just brain out the butt with a thunderous smite.
I mean, mind flayers get charisma bonuses, don't they? They'd make excellent paladins. I think I'm dwelling on that concept a little too long. Let's move on to something else.
Okay, Slod.
They're embodiments of chaos, much like angels are embodiments of good and demons are embodiments of evil.
This is where I might catch a little bit of flack. I never use Slod.
I never use. I don't think
Why?
I've ever
why
used
not,
or
rather?
faced Slod.
I'm not big on the dimensional stuff.
Yeah,
Okay.
the power cosmic stuff where you're trekking around the planes at high levels.
Yeah, I'm not big onto plane jumping.
You know, I kind of want to run a game like that someday, but
Is it-
maybe D&D is not the best kind of game for that.
Is it just too much work, or is it?
Too weird.
Yeah,
Okay,
it
yeah.
doesn't really fit the way I like to do my world and do my settings.
Just curious.
Like the other planes, no, good question. The other planes do exist, obviously in my setting, but things can get out of hand really quick when the party is just like, and now we're going to the plane of force, and now we're over here, and now we're on Avernus, and
Let's go to the positive energy plane and heal up just between our
Yeah.
sojourns in the negative energy plane.
Well, I remember the what was it the last game we played with Ryzen. We had we were jumping in between planes and
went to the Feywild.
yeah, I went to the Feywild. Well,
I don't
yeah.
count the Feywild as a
Oh,
plane.
okay.
Well, I mean, now we're getting into the age-old question of are we using Planescape, we're using 4th edition's Nantir Vale, or
Either way, I think it's.
that's a topic for another show.
But
yeah.
Slod.
I've never used them.
I do actually. I've read a lot on how people love to use Slod, and so I guess I'm just gonna regurgitate some advice that I've gotten, in case you do run them, because I mean they're not for me, but a lot of people really love them. They're
They're
great.
an interesting concept, like the Modrons.
No, they're great for horror. Here, I'll let you do the stat block reading while I'm
Sure. I guess.
spieling. I mean, they've got versatile stat blocks. They do make a great actual arcing campaign villain because they do come in tougher and tougher flavors.
They send out the tougher and tougher ones as
Yep.
you get further along.
Yep. And their whole,
I like that one.
their whole dimensional domination shtick, and populating and taking over is a pretty good, way to get a party to go. Yeah, better save the world and shit.
I better do what we came here to do, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if we, want
We
the
came
world
all
to
this
survive.
way.
Fine. Gotta be home by 9.
They're beefy. They're hard for a party to handle. They have a lot of wacky abilities that are fun.
This one chunk of muscle.
I mean
I mean,
that's
Yeah, you got spellcasters, you got regeneration. They implant eggs into people with their claw attacks, which is pretty nasty because you can't heal at all when you're infected.
Yeah.
And it takes a wish to reverse dying from it,
Yeah.
which is rough.
Yeah,
best.
that's the other reason I really don't use slot is it can get out of hand really quick if you're fond of your players. It can just kind of ruin that relationship really
Ruin
quick.
a good evening.
Yeah.
It is nice, though, they have
We were having a fun time.
damage resistances as opposed to the whole thing we talked about earlier with the lycanthropes resist all non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. Slot resists everything but those, which is, it's a nice twist.
Yeah.
They're resistant to acid, cold, fire, thunder, and lightning. So
All right. So we kind of bumbled our way through some of our favorite monsters this week. Let's talk about what we're going to do 2 weeks from now because so the original plan we had for today's show got canned because my computer blew up and I didn't have the money to buy the stuff that I was going to buy that we were going to do on this week's show. So hopefully everything
Are we going to be talking about Dungeon of the Mad
What are we
Mage?
thinking about you?
Oh, it's not going to come out by next time.
Nope, it's not going to come out by next time. But I guess we're going to do a lead into it. Everything we know, a bit of dungeon design. I mean, because we haven't talked about it, we've only got
We
fucking
talked about game mastering and world stuff. We haven't talked about.
an actual dungeon. So yeah,
I'll actually be pretty curious about that one.
we're gonna do dungeon design next
Sounds
time.
good. Among other things, along with the book we're going to try to purchase once your
Yes.
computer's fixed.
Yes.
Tell you what, I'll buy it tonight.
All right. So we'll do dungeon design, trap design, and just general fuckery in an underground cave. Tim, go ahead and do your shout outs and get your stuff in.
Oh,
You had shout outs?
Yeah, shout outs. He wanted to plug his stuff. I'll let him plug his stuff.
Yeah. I'll plug my music. Go check out Foiled on Facebook if you like sad, whiny bullcrap. Trying to get the YouTube channel off the ground, so go ahead and subscribe to that as well. Shout out to everyone watching. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you
I guess.
supporting us. Yeah. So
All right. Let's see. We record out of
No
Royal
shame.
Oak. Yep. We record at Podcast Detroit out of Royal Oak, Michigan. If you ever want to start your own podcast, it's as easy as going to podcastdetroit.com and starting a podcast through there. Affordable
super nice
rates.
place.
Yeah, a lot of fun. Yeah.
Super clean, nice place.
Yeah, it's
I like it.
delightful. If you've enjoyed the show, please go like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at 3DMsPod3, THRE _ DMS _ pod. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, basically anywhere you can get podcasts except for Spotify because they hate us. And we haven't figured that out. We don't know why. We don't know why.
And if you know anybody who's into D&D, feel free to share it with them.
Yeah,
I recommend it.
that's a nice way to put it.
Although if you're listening to this and you don't like D&D,
I don't know why you're
I don't know how the hell you got here. Anyways, we're out of time. I'm Jake,
I'm Paul.
Tim.
and good luck. Roll well this weekend, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
May all your rolls be 20s.
Nah, it makes the game less fun. Bye-bye.